Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Robin if you're new here, and today we're going to be building out a complete language learning system using my all-time favorite note-taking software. It's called Notion, and recently I made a video about general note-taking strategies for language learning, and I showed my paper-based notes as well as my digital notes. And so many people were dying to see a deeper dive into how I use Notion. So I thought it'd be really cool today if instead of me just showing you my personal workspace, we actually do a really hands-on tutorial and create from scratch our own language learning system. And I can show you different ways to use Notion, different really cool shortcuts, different ways to be efficient. And my goal here is to just give you tons of ideas and inspiration for the many different ways that you could use Notion for your own language learning system. So please do consider giving this video a like and a comment if you like this, because I would love to know if this type of content is the kind of stuff that you want to see. Without further ado, I would say go grab yourself a cup of coffee, cup of tea, sign up for a free account at notion.so, and I'll see you back here in just a moment. Okay, so right away, let's jump into my laptop and let's take a look at this empty page here. So in Notion, we have this idea of pages, and what we're gonna do today is build out what I call a nested page architecture. So what I like to do is if we look at my personal workspace over here, you'll see that this home page is just full of different links to other pages. There are no actual notes in here. So if I go to daily checklists, then here's another page. And in here, I have tons and tons of other pages. If we go into May 18th, 2019, we can see different things I did on that day. And so this is a really cool idea because it helps us to create these big branches of organization inside of our notes. And I think it's really powerful. If we take a look really quickly at my learning data science notes, for example, well, this is full of stuff. And we go into intro to data science, and then we see some notes here, but I could also have a branch over here for things like intro to machine learning. And then now we have a ton of notes. We've got a quotation here. We have a link inside of here to something else. And we even have embedded screenshots. So there are so many things we can do in Notion that we're going to see today. But the first concept is this idea of nested page architecture. So let's go ahead and call this language learning. Now, what I want you to do today is pay attention to how I use shortcuts inside of Notion. So many people will come here and they'll go, okay, plus, scroll through, what do I want? Let's see, a table. Well, what I would do is just do /TABL, bam, right? Really fast, and already we have this amazing table inside of Notion. So I really want you to take time to get used to these shortcuts because they're so powerful and they really save you a lot of time. So let's go to our second shortcut, 3 hyphens, 1, 2, 3, bang. It's pretty simple, just a line break. I think it makes it look nice. I always like to do that. And if I ever have any comments, then what I will do is I'll kind of leave them in here. For example, maybe I'll do in italics, Command I, my language learning workspace. You could do that, for example. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start creating some new pages. So let's do /PA. So again, you could do, okay, come over here, click PA, but otherwise you could just do /PA, bang, new page. So let's go ahead and create one for Japanese, right? Enter 3 hyphens. And the first thing we'll do is go back. And okay, already you can see that we have a page, and in here we have a new page for Japanese learning notes. So one thing I love about Notion is that it's very easy to create a beautiful workspace that is really nice to look at. It feels like home, even if you're not someone who's terribly artistic or, a designer, for example. So we can use emojis to, categorize our pages. So let's go ahead and type in Japan. And we'll grab the Japanese flag since we're, learning Japanese here. And then the next thing we can do is add an icon to our general space. So let's look for a globe, since, languages. And then lastly, we can add what's called a cover to this page. So we click on this. Now, the nice thing is they do give you a selection of gallery images, which is really nice. You can upload your own. But what I love here, my favorite feature when it comes to presentation on Notion, is this Unsplash integration. Now, Unsplash is a website which is for free stock images. And so if we search for, let's say, workspace, for example, you have all these images and you can just click on one for free. Let's say this one here, for example, and there you go. It's right there. We can drag it around, reposition it. I think that looks really nice. It's almost like we're inside of a cafe. And look at that. Already this starts to look really, really homey. Okay, so let's go ahead and go inside of our Japanese page here. Let's just add a cover. And you may notice they have these really nice things down here for Japan. So let's go ahead and we'll get Mount Fuji here. Drag this down. And look at that. Again, almost no effort. It starts to look really, really nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new page. So once again, /PA page. And let's call this phrases, okay? Again, these are all just examples. So 3 hyphens here. There we go. Let's maybe use like, it's like a list of phrases here. And let's go and do a search for maybe a phrase book. Okay, sure, that seems good to me. There we go. Okay, cool. All right away, it starts to look pretty cool. Maybe we'll just drag that around a little bit. Okay, very nice. Now, a really cool thing inside of Notion is that you can have multiple different types of content on the same page. So I already showed you in my data science notes how I have screenshots, quotations, you can have all kinds of things. So what we could do here is let's go ahead, we've got our /, type in the number 2. Now that gives us a heading 2. And then we could say, easy Japanese. Now again, I could have done plus here and then scroll down, heading 1, 2, 3, but it's really nice to be able to just, again, boom, okay? Easy Japanese. Now, Easy Japanese is a YouTube series, and I think it's really helpful. So let's go ahead and let's embed a YouTube video here for convenience. So I'm gonna switch over to Google Chrome. We're gonna go to YouTube, and let's go ahead and do Easy Japanese. Excellent. So let's just grab this first episode. So we're gonna get the link here, copy that, and then we can basically just minimize this. So first thing we're gonna do is copy this in, and let's create embed. And look at that, right away, we have the YouTube video, and we could watch this at any time. So again, we start to bring in all the different things that we like for language learning into one single study space. Next we're gonna do is we're gonna create a table. So let's do /TABL, bang. We have an inline table, and then we could call this phrases from Easy Japanese 01, right? Or we could even just say episode 1. And so what you could do here is you could have a whole page that contains all these different videos of Easy Japanese, and then you could have a separate table for each episode, and that's really, really powerful. So let's go ahead and call this Japanese. Or if you want to, if you speak Japanese, we could go here and we could do Nihongo. Okay, excellent. Now this is gonna be let's say, so it's a titled property type. Now this one, let's call it English. And I need to get rid of my Japanese keyboard. English. And then let's make this a text field. Okay, excellent. Now for this one, we can just delete that. And right away, we now have a table where we can store Japanese phrases and we can store the English translation. So let's go and, for example, let's grab this. And this is kind of a silly example, but right here we have wabi-sabi. So we do wabi-sabi, and it looks like they have chosen to use hiragana for this. Now in this case, the translation is wabi-sabi. So I'm just doing an example here, but let's do one more. Let's imagine that you said, Gambare, right? So, and then we did over here, Do your best. You know? Okay, so as you can see, we have a page here. It looks really nice. And we have, an embedded video. We have a table here. So you could start to see how we could really use this to be very powerful. Let's go to my personal space really quickly. And I'm going to show you an example from before where I've been doing something similar for phrases from my Babbel course. Now, Babbel is just a typical language learning app. But in here, look at this. I have 515 phrases, all with their English translation. And I think this is amazing. And as I mentioned, you have really powerful database tooling here. So right away, we get this count, which is really helpful. But we can also run calculations on this table. So we could say, for example, count empty. And we can see that, well, there are 2 empty fields. Excellent. You could imagine that maybe if you are a translator and you wanted to use this to sort of write down phrases on the left and maybe translations on the right, you could use this feature to see, maybe we could see % empty, right? And then we see, okay, cool, only 0.3% empty. These kind of things can be really helpful. So I just want to show you that to give you some ideas. So let's go back to our space here. And then finally, let's go ahead and add some other notes. So maybe this here, we could say notes. And I want to show you a really powerful feature inside of Notion, which are these toggle lists. So if you type in a greater than sign and then space, automatically you get a toggle list. And so, for example, maybe we have some grammar notes, and we could also make this bold, Command B. You also get these options here. And then maybe we could just have some grammar notes. So if you do hyphen space, that gives you a bulleted list. And so we could just say note 1, note 2, note 3. Now, go back here, another greater than sign, and then maybe now we just say, miscellaneous, right? Same thing, highlight that, Command B. And so inside of here, you can hit tab. So tab will take you in. Let's do this, hyphen, and then again, note 1, note 2, note 3. Now, these are really powerful because you can open and close them. And so I love this because once again, it helps you stay really, really organized. So let's take another look over here at my Swedish notes. So if we scroll down to the bottom of this table, you can see that I have a bunch of notes here called grammar. Well, in here, I have other ones. So I have filler words, general grammar notes, and then I have other nifty info. So you can really see how nesting lots of these toggle lists is a really powerful feature inside of Notion. Okay, so let's go back to our Japanese space here, and now let's create something else. So maybe we'll call this, we'll do page, and we'll call it resources. 3 hyphens, okay? And then let's say this is gonna be, a place where we store, so we'll do a stack of books here. This is where we're gonna basically keep a list of all the resources we have, and maybe we'll do a checklist so we can check them off one by one. So maybe here let's add a cover. Let's go ahead and, I don't know, let's just search for like textbooks maybe. Cool, that looks good to me. Okay, give that a second. All right, so in here, we can now do a to-do list. So if I do /TO, bang, we have a to-do list. And this is really cool. So maybe we say textbook 1, textbook 2, and then maybe we have like a podcast series. Maybe we also have a YouTube series. And as we go through these, we can literally check them off. And this is really, really handy. Okay, so we have these toggle lists, bulleted lists, we have tables, we have checklists. Now let's imagine that we're going to study 3 different languages. Well, what's really cool is we could just click this little thing here and then say duplicate. You can also do Command D for that. And in a few seconds, we have a copy of that entire workspace. So if we were to do now, let's say French, we could just change this to, let's do France, the French flag here, or we could do a baguette if you want to be creative. And then, here we could just, let's type in Paris, and let's be original, and let's go with the bridge instead of the Eiffel Tower. So again, we can reposition this around just a bit. And already look at this. We now have phrases, resources, and we've basically created this template for ourselves. So again, I could do this. I could do Command D. There you go, another shortcut. And so we now have a third language, and we could basically, let's just go ahead and call this German, and we'll do a German flag. And then finally, well, let's just do a search for like Berlin, for example. And look at that. Let's drag that around a bit. Amazing. So now we have a workspace here with 3 different languages, and each one has inside of it phrases, resources, and we have this embedded YouTube video. We have a table here. And by the way, if you wanted to, you could add a third column here and add a third language. So we could say, for example, German. And, maybe you could actually, have a table that contains all these different things. And I want to show you a few more things. So let's say at the top level, here's our language learning space, but now we actually want to track our activities. So we can use something called a Kanban board. And Notion, surprise, surprise, has amazing support for building Kanban boards. So what we're going to do is we're going to click / and then we're going to type in BOR, bang. That would be an inline board, but what I want to do is do BOR, a full page board. So let's call this activity tracker, okay? So maybe here we could do like a calendar, okay? And then let's add a cover just to make it look nice. Again, just showing you all these examples, but let's search for calendar. And there we go. I think that one looks really, really nice. Let's reposition that a bit. Look at that. I think that looks so professional. I just love it. So right here we have what's called a Kanban board, and we can drag these around. Let's delete these other 2 for now. And I'm going to go ahead and hide this no status column because I want to have lots of space. And so what we have here is 3 columns: not started, in progress, and completed. So already you could imagine the power of having all these cards you could just drag between these different columns. Now, here's a pro tip. You should definitely be using templates. So many people come in here and every single time they create a new card from scratch. Don't do that. If you look here, it says create template. Let's go ahead and let's call this one graded reader. So this is going to be, a reading thing. And let's go ahead. Status is fine. Let's call this language. So these are going to be properties that each card has. And let's make this a select. So we are studying Japanese. We are also studying French. And we're also doing German. Now, by the way, you could also change the colors of these. So we could do yellow for German, for example. And then let's go ahead and add a date completed. And over here, we're going to select a date field. Okay. And then in here, let's go ahead, do /2, chapter summary. Okay. And then maybe we do, we could do a hyphen space, note 1, note 2. And then maybe we also want to store some, /2 key vocabulary. Okay, excellent. And then we could also do same thing. Word 1, word 2. Now, don't forget, we are currently creating a template, okay? So, if I were to hit back now, look at this. We now have this template that we can use over and over and over again. So if I click that, well, right away, we have this template. So I could call this Sherlock Holmes, and let's just say chapter 1, right? So we could do, oh, you know what? How about we actually go in? So let's do a new card, and let's do Sherlock Holmes 02. But as we go in, let's actually edit this template. Because I think what we could do is add in something called tags, right? And then maybe here we could type in graded reader. Oh, and then this is going to be a multi-select, right? So that way we can select multiple tags. So we have graded reader. Maybe we have a, YouTube video. And again, we could actually change the colors of these. So maybe that's green. YouTube's logo is red. So maybe we do red for YouTube video. And let's say podcast. And maybe podcast could be purple. Okay, so now we have this idea of tags. We could also drag these around. And let's go back. And so now notice that we have this extra field. So again, let's say this is German, right? A German graded reader. Okay, and then there we go. We can click this template here. And right away, you see how this becomes very, very easy. So over here, we can add graded reader. And then what I could do is I could also add an icon. So, these are all reading, right? So maybe for all the reading cards, we add this book. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add one more. So let's do this. And let's type in Easy Japanese 01. Let's come in here. We're going to select Japanese. If you remember, we had a YouTube video tag. And then let's go ahead and create a new template, and this one could be, YouTube video. And so over here, we'll do /2 video, and then here's where we could sort of embed the video. And then here, again, we could do an inline table. Like this is the thing; it's so powerful. So we could do inline table. And then, keywords and phrases, right? And then if we go back, now look at this. We could do YouTube video template, and look at that. Amazing, right? So maybe for YouTube videos, we could choose like a film camera emoji, and boom. Now, inside this Kanban board, we can also select the properties that we want to show in the cards. So maybe we want to show date completed, and we want to show tags, right? So what if now we were to say, cool, we finished Easy Japanese. So I'm going to change this to completed, and I'm going to add a date, right? So I'm going to say I finished that yesterday. Awesome. Okay. Now look at this. We can actually see the date. And then let's say that we also, we completed this one. So that's complete. And that was on, August 30th. Okay. And then, we could drag this one to in progress. Here is the absolute magic of Notion. What we could do now is, let's say we wanted to see this as a calendar, right? Because now we have this idea of dates. Well, what we could do is we could say, add a view. Now this is so powerful. We can add a calendar view, and all of a sudden, if we hit create, then look what happens. We have a calendar, and we can actually see the data from our Kanban board. It's amazing. So now if we were to switch back to the board view, and let's say we realized, oh no, actually we finished this, on August 19th, right? It was a different day. So now if we go to the calendar view, you can see that it actually updated. If we go to August, we can see right there. So this is the true power of Notion. This idea that you can have related pages, linked pages, you can have tons of different types of content and media on a single page. And then I love this idea that you can have, multiple different views of the same page so that you can really start to build out this really cool system here. And so I absolutely love this. I think that, you could even start to do things like, okay, so, organization is here, and then maybe, do 2 languages is here. If you don't like this, you could also, change that to heading 3. That looks a bit nicer, make it a bit simpler. And again, you can actually do all kinds of stuff. Like you could, for example, drag this over here like that. And then what we could do is we could do all 3 of these, drag them like that, Let's drag that one here. And look at that, we have our own language learning workspace. You know, considering that took us, 28 minutes, I think this is gorgeous. I think hopefully this gives you a ton of ideas. And like I said, there's so many things you could do here. I just wanted to show you, a lot of different ways that you could use Notion. We have toggle lists, bullet lists, we have inline tables, page tables, we have Kanban boards, we have so many things, embedded YouTube videos. The list goes on and on. To-do lists, right? You have calendar view. It's so powerful. So I can't wait to see what you guys will build. I would love to hear from you in the comments. And do please let me know if you would like to see a part 2. Just give me a like or leave a comment, and that would be really, really great. Okay, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you back here on Friday for another awesome video.